So then we are back with the more understandings from the time of the second tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Mashiach laid waste for many centuries. As we read it in Yeshayahu the prophet, let's then take a glance at Yeshayahu as far as the importance of the Mashiach ben Yosef and the 61st chapter, the understanding of the restoration period and the re-establishment of the tabernacle. And then not only this, there are some sections of the faith, or then Christianity and the Catholic Church, helping then the Jews to build the third temple. It's a very important and hot topic, because as we understand, related with this period, we find then for many centuries both religions were obviously separated as far as Judaism and Christianity. But there are many scores of articles regarding the Catholic Church then helping build then the third temple. And then we find a section of this truth in Daniel, the 11th chapter mostly. And then on the 12th chapter, we find then sections related with Yom Kippur, or then the autumn feast. And then, because of this factor, then the understanding of the restoration period and prelude of the combat of the end, regarding then the nations then coming from the east, and also then the importance of the kingdom of the north, and then tabernacling in the kingdom of the south. So because of Daniel 11, you find then the strengthening for the forward motion for the building of the third temple, extremely important portion of this period of time, because gives you few sections of the Torah and the prophets and the writings then related with the Moadim. Moadim are then the rehearsals practiced by the nation, and these Moadim are then huge portions of revelation of the prophets, are directly related with these holy feasts. So then, reading from the perspective of Christianity helping then Judaism, you find then the scripture related with the original manuscripts are purely Hebrew. Certain sections of the instructions are already giving you answers because of Daniel the 11th chapter. At some point in time, we are going to find then tabernacling and the temple at some point in history. And great chances in this generation yet, we are going to find events that are going to strengthen the power of Europe. So, the understanding of Daniel 11 from the perspective of Hebrew, you find the Hebrew is a very action-driven language, And then you find the pictograph Hebrew, straightforward and very simple. But then when the great prophets, they began their duties, they were explaining events far in the future. And truly, the pictograph Hebrew, you find a lot of it is present action. So then the language went through some refining, so then these prophecies then in the future could be explained. So then, the big situation is related with the third temple. Why then these religions, besides Islam, are then converting in a temple? There is obviously a practical reason for it. But because of Judaism then becoming stronger, you find then there are sections that relates with the Christianity and Judaism being obviously aligned. This is a very important topic because it shows sections of the West, mostly, aligning themselves with the original manuscripts, but not so in Europe. So then, those people who are seriously studying the instructions and the Holy Torah, studying the prophets, studying the writings, if you have the understanding of the presence of tabernacling, and not only the law, you begin then your quest, if you are obviously serious in studying these holy instructions, you find these answers. So Europe is a portion of this world that is set for leadership as per the description of Revelation known as Golah. The West shows sections of alignment with the Holy Torah. Later, you find then the temple and tabernacling simultaneously, events taking place at the same time. So then it shows you on Ezekiel, the first chapter, gives you then instructions regarding then the structuring of these events. Now, when people don't study the holy instructions, when they don't take the time to study Hebrew, when they don't take the time to gather other brothers and sisters and begin to study, then you don't understand the structuring coming from the kingdom of the East. People don't understand the European Union becoming then a portion of these instructions. You don't understand the West, and you don't understand then Golah. Therefore, most people, when they hear some understanding of these truths, they become very critical. When people they are critical at first, it shows their ignorance. Because not only they don't understand the truth, they don't know the truth. But then when they hear sections where lines up or aligns the holy instructions, mostly with Christianity. Then people, they get defensive because they thought they were studying scripture their entire lives and wasn't truly aligned with the original manuscripts. Now, Islam is a religion by itself. There are some sections of the Torah, the prophets, the writings, there are portions of the known as New Testament, but truly it is a religion by itself. Now, Judaism and Christianity, for centuries, they were separated. But Daniel 11 gives you the prelude. If you understand the structuring of these Megillas, or then these documents, then you can unweave some of these understandings, so then you can explain the scripture. It's not truly the faith that's going to explain. Faith is truly your personal contact with the divine. Now, the facts and the walking with Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, revealer, Galah, and the time you spend in the holy instructions, then you begin in a natural form organizing these holy instructions. So, Daniel 11 gives you sections. Revelation or Galah also gives you sections. So the point is not make it work. The point is understanding the natural leadership of the Spirit of Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, helping you placing these instructions together. The force that does it is the divine behind it, not our ability of understanding the language. Though it helps you identify. So then, it is truly a big, huge step as far as Christianity helping Jews building the third temple. There is truly a big, huge plan behind it, and it is described in detail in Daniel 11 if you have the structuring of it. So, Revelation, known as Galah, known as then Judgment, shows you the precision of the Torah and the autumn feast. Now, Christianity is a gray area, because neither believes, neither disbelieves. The point is, most Christians, they can't explain what Revelation is. It truly shows you that the people are reading blindly. If you ask the average Christian simple questions, you say, how was then Hamashiach ben Yosef born? They say, in a manger. And then how many of the people of the East, they were coming in the presence of the Hamashiach ben Yosef? Then they give you a number. So those stories are traditions given for centuries, and they simply were bad translations. Now, people are realizing that these traditions given, they make no sense. So then the natural fact of learning the language, the Hebrew language that is, then aligns your understanding with the original manuscripts. And this truly is described in Daniel 11. Because it shows you a ramification not particularly related with the Hamashiach ben Yosef, but it does give you the understanding of the Torah, of Yod He Vav He, the revealer. And then you begin to understand what Shaliach Shaul was saying, what Shaliach Shimon was saying. You understand then what the elders from the time of the Hamashiach ben Yosef were explaining, why they were defending then the law of Moses. Then you begin your quest, learning the language, and then first to review yourself. So some people who were always limited in the reading of their Bibles or then their instructions or their scriptures, they find themselves spending more time in these holy documents. They begin the improvement of their faith because they are learning the proper facts. Now, you won't become a Jewish only because you read and understand Hebrew. So it's showing you an alignment of a lot of Christianity being aligned with Hebrew. And that's the reason why you find then the papacy helping Jews building the third temple. So what can be expected? More people learning the Hebrew language. It's obvious. Daniel already explained it. So next time I'm going to evaluate more of these, because then Europe by itself, you find a very powerful leadership later on in Europe, mostly related with the temple. That's a bit intriguing, because when you read the tabernacling in Daniel 11, you find a line with tabernacling and a line with the temple. So when the people only expect answers, they don't study. It's very hard for only a few people taking the time and study these holy documents explaining. That's why the prophets of older times were always murdered. People would not give them time for explanations. And that's why then the Hamashiach ben Yosef said for so many times, Yod He Vav He, the revealer, has sent you prophets and you murder them. Because people don't take the time to study and listen. Even though the evidence is given via the translation and the alignment of the very original manuscripts. So let's try not to believe as far as Christianity being a murderous religion. Though the times of the Crusades, they were murderers. Now, when people in these modern times, they don't take the time and study, and they are critical, has the same trouble being murderers with their tongues as they were murderers with the swords. So, studying the Holy Instructions is extremely important. And you can find evidence that Christianity is helping Judaism build the third temple. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.